at the skin, baby. She is glowing. She is one of one.
With new Olay Hyaluronic Body Wash, 95% of women had visibly better skin.
My skin is so much more moisturized.
See the difference with Olay.
After Advil.
Feeling better?
On top of the world!
Before Advil. Advil targets pain at the source of inflammation. When pain comes for you, come back fast with Advil liquid gels.
Monday on ET, Sly's dating advice to his daughters.
My dad says dump them.
We actually write their breakup text.
I'm a good writer.
Reality show reveals from the family Stallone.
Nobody's good enough.
Oh.
That's a dad thing.
Make sure you check that out. And we've got one more thing to show you before we say goodbye. Take care, y'all. Is rapper Jack Harlow leaving music for movies? He and Sinqua Wall star in the new White Man.
Happening now.
Title 42 is over. What the border community of Eagle Pass is seeing now that the pandemic-era policy is gone. Next.
And I have the latest timing of thunderstorm arrival tonight, our primary severe weather threats, along with how much rain we can see throughout the entire weekend in just a bit.
One group is stepping in to help the unsheltered. What it's doing ahead of tonight's heavy rain and potential flooding. The news at 5 starts right now. It wasn't exactly what they thought. Just as Title 42 was set to end, law enforcement agencies beefed up personnel along our border. They expected an influx of people to try and get to the U.S. But when Title 42 ended 18 hours ago, that didn't happen. However, border communities are still dealing with other problems. Our Jonathan Cotto continues our coverage tonight from Eagle Pass.
Title 42 came and went, but border communities like Eagle Pass are still left with the daily situation of migrant crossings. Maverick County Sheriff Tom Schmerber said he even crossed into Piedras Negras, Coahuila, Mexico, and noticed the migrant traffic was lower than expected.
I look around, and I didn't see immigrants or anything in the corners or groups in the corners, something like that, And I saw a lot of troopers, Mexican troopers from the riverside, kind of like, I guess, helping out just in case.
Title 42 officially expired May 11th at midnight.
Nothing happened, like nothing, just the regular stuff, right? I understand that El Paso over there by Matamoros, they had a bunch of people crossing. So we are relieved here in Maverick County.
Relieved, but Eagle Pass is still managing the migrant situation with or without Title 42. We joined Maverick County Deputy Juarez for a ride-along of key areas of the Rio Grande and Eagle Pass just hours after the pandemic-era rule expired. All conditions normal in areas that historically have seen major activity. We're on the south side of Maverick County along the Rio Grande. This is typically a high-traffic area for migrant crossings. Throughout the day, you may come across a group of 10 to 15 people, but deputies say the real problem here is the number of drownings. They deal with at least 3 to 5 each day. And the migrant bodies found along the river are brought here to this freezer operated by the Maverick County Sheriff's Office. Now, deputies tell us local funeral homes are saturated, so this Chronics box serves as an overflow.
Right now, we have estimately 14 bodies.
And those bodies, mostly of men. Sergeant tells us that if the bodies have an identification on them, they'll call the Border Patrol, and then they'll call or notify next of kin. If they don't have an ID on them, they'll take fingerprints and even an autopsy depending on the condition of that body. Sergeant says, or the Sheriff's Department says, that these are day-to-day operations here in Eagle Pass. And currently, as we're expecting severe weather here in Eagle Pass, another concern is that this river here behind me may overflow. So that is something that we're standing by and keeping a close eye on as well. Reporting live from Eagle Pass, Jonathan Cotto, KSAT 12 News.
Right, Jonathan, thank you. You just mentioned the weather. Back here at home, the weather outside is fine right now, but come late tonight, that's going to change. Storms are expected to roll into and around San Antonio and bring a lot of rain. Our meteorologist Adam Caskey has been tracking their development all week long, and he has more now on just how strong these storms could be, Adam.
Yeah, we could have some severe storms later on tonight with straight line wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour and even the potential for some isolated hail 1 inch or larger. The storms arriving later tonight. If you go to bed before 11 p.m., they'll be likely to wake you up later on tonight. And of course, the severe storms are possible, then intermittent rain as we get on into the upcoming weekend. You look at the radar, nothing around San Antonio. You're fine for several more hours. We're starting to see that development take place, though, out west. And this is where we are expecting it to start, and now it's happening. Parts of Val Verde County seen some heavy thunderstorms, heavy rainfall, and moving into Del Rio. Just crossing over the Rio Grande right now, we have this one thunderstorm, some heavy rain, maybe some small hail associated with this. Del Rio, that is headed into town as we speak. But that's all we have out there right now. However, that's going to change. Those storms should organize and come together and move our way. Temperatures in the 80s. It's quiet right now. Our weather watchers will be reporting some rainfall amounts, though, as we go through the weekend, and some of them should be pretty impressive. We'll get into how much in a moment, but notice these storm chances. 7 o'clock, only 20%. By 9 o'clock, only 30%. Thereafter, our storm chances jump. We'll talk more about how much rain and the weekend rainfall in just a bit.
Adam, thank you. Now new at 5, preparing some of San Antonio's most vulnerable for potentially dangerous weather. We heard from Adam there that heavy rain could fall hard and fast, potentially flooding storm drains. Camelia Juarez shows us what one group is doing to make sure that the unsheltered stay safe.
Water comes from this way, that way. So you see the little lip over there. So they got about 2 feet of coverage.
Pete Barrera is warning people who are unsheltered about heavy rain and the chance for severe weather. Barrera works with Haven for Hope, and he has seen the dangers of flooding for those with no place to go.
It came in through, they're in a circular type tunnel that comes into a real narrow ravine like this, but it's really narrow. And they were sleeping there or under influence, one of the two, and got caught and snuck up on them.
Barrera says he checks the city's storm drains, offers people essential supplies like water or hygiene products, and invites them to stay at the shelter. Barrera says more often than not, the people he meets choose to endure the storm.
I'll continue to offer, empower them and strengthen them inside. Maybe one day they'll tell me yes.
Camelia Juarez, KSAT 12 News.
Now we know that the Haven for Hope shelter is allowing more people in. At least 1,500 people we know are at the shelter right now, but they're telling us that 100 spots are still available. So keep that in mind. That's the Haven for Hope shelter. In other news now, charged with assaulting an inmate, a former Bexar County jailer is sentenced today to 5 years probation. The sheriff's office fired 24-year-old Eduardo Sanchez after being indicted for an incident involving an inmate of May of 2020. This right here was his booking photo. Bexar County Sheriff Javier Salazar said at the time that an inmate was causing a disturbance in the bathroom at the jail, and deputies were called to get him, quote, under control, unquote. He said that Sanchez punched the inmate with a pair of handcuffs, injuring the inmate's eye. Today, the judge presiding over that case granted Sanchez deferred adjudication and probation. So what that means is that Sanchez is going to be able to keep that conviction off of his criminal record if he meets the conditions of his probation period. Now we're seeing the Warren High School teacher and coach arrested for allegedly having an inappropriate relationship with a student. We'll show her to you now. That's 28-year-old Stephanie Woods. She was taken into custody after a friend of the alleged victim told a therapist what she knew. That therapist then told police. Detectives then spoke with the alleged victim. Investigators say the victim told them that she had spent nights over at Woods' home and that they had an ongoing relationship that started last year. Woods, who taught biology and coached tennis and basketball, was placed on administrative leave a week ago by Northside ISD after those claims were presented to the district. She's also facing a charge of improper relationship between an educator and a student, and her bond is now set at $50,000. A new warning today on when the country could enter default if the debt ceiling deadlock continues. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office is forecasting that the U.S. is at significant risk of defaulting within the first 2 weeks of June. As ABC's Justin Finch reports, that alert comes as Congress and the White House are under increased pressure to reach a deal.
The U.S. and the world now watching for any sign of a debt ceiling deal.
This is not a normal place for us to be, to have House Republicans hold our economy hostage.
The president and House Speaker Kevin McCarthy still sounding resolute after face-to-face debt limit talks at the White House with top bipartisan congressional leaders Tuesday.
I have not seen from there a seriousness of the White House that they want to deal.
McCarthy and Republicans are pressing the president to cut trillions in federal spending before agreeing to a debt limit hike. The president has called for an increase without any preconditions. The lawmaker staffs are continuing talks before the leaders' follow-up meeting sometime early next week. But time is running out. The nonpartisan Congressional Budget Office warns the U.S. is at risk of defaulting within the first 2 weeks of June. And Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen estimates the nation could enter default as early as June 1st. Increasing the debt limit would allow the U.S. to continue paying expenses it's already earned. Defaulting could plunge the U.S. into recession, cost millions of Americans their jobs, leave millions of seniors without Social Security checks, and spark a worldwide economic crash. The Congressional Budget Office says the Treasury may be able to use cash and other measures to keep the government afloat until June 15th. And given revenue shortfalls, the CBO estimates the U.S. would need nearly $2 trillion to meet its obligations for the fiscal year. Justin Finch, ABC News, Washington.
Making business headlines, Elon Musk is keeping his word. The billionaire owner of the social platform Twitter announced that he's stepping down as the company's CEO, and he's also revealing the name of his replacement. Musk has hired longtime media executive Linda Yaccarino. She's leaving NBC Universal, where she served as chairman of global advertising and partnerships for 11 years. Musk says that Yaccarino is going to start in 6 weeks. All right, now back here at home. We're going to take you outside to get a live look at the traffic. That's 410 at Evers. Okay, considering it's 5:08, not too bad out there. It's, Friday night. People are rushing to get home, but it doesn't really look that. There's no backups there to tell you about. Busy, yes, but no backups. Now, speaking of the roads, it's championship weekend here in San Antonio. The Alamo Dome is hosting the XFL championship game tomorrow. Unfortunately, though, our Brahmas aren't playing, but the Dome is going to be lit. So to help fans get to and from the Dome, Via is offering park and ride service for $1.30 each way. The rides to the Dome are going to start 2 hours before kickoff. They're going to be at the Crossroads Park and Ride, which is at Highway 151 Crossroads Boulevard. And then return service is going to continue for an hour after the game ends. Still ahead, home printers, yes, they certainly are convenient, but keeping them filled with ink, come on, you know how expensive that can get. What you should know before picking a printer that could help you save money in the long run.
I'm Myra Arthur here in the newsroom with a look at what we're working on for the news at 6 o'clock today.
Es como, de verdad, vemos a Dios.
It was like seeing God, says a Venezuelan asylum seeker. He and others crossed the border before Title 42 expired last night. Coming up at 6, we'll hear from those who say they're the lucky ones catching flights out of San Antonio to join their families elsewhere in the U.S. San Antonio has been a common stop for asylum seekers coming up from the U.S.-Mexico border, but with an anticipated increase in the coming days and weeks, is the city ready to handle the logistics of transporting migrants onto their final destinations? We tell you what the city is doing or not doing to prepare. All that and more today on the news at 6.
Myra, thank you. You know, it's a warning light that you just hate to see, and that's when your printer is running out of ink. And that stuff, as you know, can be crazy expensive. However, you can save money. 12 on your side's Marilyn Moritz says it all starts with picking the right printer.
Printer ink, it's black gold.
Printer ink is unexplainably expensive.
So how can you save? First, pick the right printer for your needs.
You want to choose a printer that doesn't waste a lot of ink on maintenance cycles and one that doesn't have high cost to replace that ink.
Consumer Reports printed page after page and did the math to see how much a printer costs over time. First, inkjet printers. They use cartridges and typically have very high ink costs and aren't always reliable. But here's one model that did well in testing. This all-in-one printer from Brother. It has a low price tag and uses about $68 a year in ink. Not bad for inkjet. Those ink costs are based on 30 pages of text and 10 pages of graphics a month. If you do a lot of color printing, there's a better option, a tank printer.
Tank printers don't use ink cartridges. They have reservoirs that you refill with bottles of ink.
Compared to cartridges, those bottles are a bargain. The printer costs more up front, but you'll save over time. Ink for this Epson EcoTank is only $5 a year. If you don't need to print color, CR says a black and white laser printer is your best bet. This all-in-one from Canon costs about $13 a year for toner. It's fast and prints quality text. And one more tip, no matter what printer you use, change your font. Arial is often the default font, but tests show if you switch to Times New Roman or Century Gothic, you'll use about 30% less ink. Marilyn Moritz, KSAT 12 News.
All right, now let's take a look at what's happening outside. Okay, 5:15 right now, 85 degrees. Here's a live look over I-10. Nothing is falling right now, but just wait, right, Adam? Adam's going to track the timing for us.
Yeah, and the timing's been changing a little bit, but it still looks like we're generally on track for around midnight here in San Antonio. It could be any time from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. at your house in and around Bexar County and surrounding county. Take a look at our graph here. And this evening, you're fine. 7 o'clock, 20%, 8 o'clock, 20%, and even at 9 o'clock, just a 30% chance. It's mainly for just a few little pop-ups, especially way off to the west. But locally, we're not expecting that action until closer to midnight when it should move into town. On the radar screen right now, not much to talk about, especially around San Antonio. Earlier, we had a few sprinkles out there, but they dissipated, didn't add up to much. And you look off to the west, and we've got a cluster of thunderstorms that's now coming together out in Mexico and even parts of Valverde County. This will continue to coalesce and come together and form basically one big storm system and then push eastward towards San Antonio. So here's the big picture. Here's what's driving all this. We've got an upper level low that's digging right now in northern Mexico. This little dip here, that trough, that's the energy that's getting pushed our way. And it's going to be prolonged because we have this upper level high, a blocking high. This right here centered in Louisiana, that's going to block the pattern and keep that energy headed our way for several more days. So take a look at our futurecast and notice as we go through this evening, 7 o'clock, some activity off to the west. Then we get to 8, 9 o'clock, still west of San Antonio. Thereafter, as we get closer to midnight, that's when we could actually see the thunderstorms move into town here. It's going to be a line of storms, potentially severe, of course, with the primary threats being straight line winds and even some potentially damaging hail. Now, in terms of the hail, it's a moderate risk, but we do think the primary risk here is flash flooding. I mean, we could be seeing a good 3 to 5 inches of rain in a short amount of time across a good chunk of our area, even some locally higher amounts. It all depends on where the showers develop, the heaviest rain, and how much of them follow each other, what we call training. Sometimes the heavy rain sets up and then we get a few showers that streak over the same spot. So widespread 3 to 5 inches likely between now and even Monday night. Now, it's not going to be raining continuously at your house all weekend, but there will be periods of rain, off and on showers and thunderstorms. So starting around midnight tonight, those storms likely to move in. 7 a.m. tomorrow, some lingering showers and storms. We get to noon, still an elevated odds there at 70%. By tomorrow afternoon and evening, we do think those storm chances drop off a little bit. There'll still be some activity on the radar, but probably just scattered in nature and not as widespread. The showers and storms not as numerous. And tomorrow, temperatures only in the 70s. Then we get into Sunday on Mother's Day. Notice that 60% chance. That doesn't mean it's going to be raining in your neighborhood all day, but scattered across our area, we'll have periods of showers and even a few thunderstorms. And Monday, actually, some elevated chances as well at 70%. In turn, temperatures remain low, down in the 70s. And remember I talked about that blocking high, how it lingers all the way into the middle part of next week? Well, in turn, storm chances through next week as well.
But you know what? At least Sunday, just try to, now that we've had plenty of warning, Adam, you've been telling us about this, we can do plenty of things to keep mom happy. Now let's talk about fun activities, because the Cowboys have certainly been having fun with their schedule.
Yeah, that's right. The schedule release was official yesterday. We know who the Cowboys are going to open up against. They're going to open up in New York. But they had some fun with this. They got the creator of Yellowstone to put together a feature. We'll show you a piece of it. Plus, the Texans will not be on prime time this season. We'll get the head coach's thoughts on that as well next.
hired cowboy. That's a cowboy. We have one. We found one.
No doubt about it, Leighton Vander Esch is a true cowboy in big board sports.
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
The gauntlet has been set for the Dallas Cowboys, who will open their season with a primetime road game against their NFC East rival Giants. Now, after that divisional game, Dallas won't play another NFC East opponent until they take on the Eagles in Philadelphia on November 5th. There's plenty of big games for Cowboys fans to look forward to, but rather than just post the schedule on social media, the Cowboys connected with Yellowstone creator Taylor Sheridan to create something a little bit more elaborate. The premise of this video? Jerry Jones and Sheridan got their mail mixed up. Jones got Yellowstone's next season script, and Sheridan got the Cowboys schedule. Jones offered to trade back on the chance that some of his players could audition for Yellowstone. Vander Esch made the cut, but how about the 90s triplets?
Next. I know you wrote 1883 and 1923.
Love them.
But how about a new show? 1993. It's about cowboys who are on the search of treasure.
That's what I'm talking about.
It's not terrible. Don't ever touch me again.
Not sure if I fall for that. Cowboys Giants is scheduled for September 10th at 7:20. You can watch the full feature right now on the Cowboys YouTube channel. Meanwhile, the Houston Texans will compete outside of the public eye this year. They're one of 4 teams this season and is not currently scheduled to have a primetime game. The Colts, Falcons, and Cardinals all join the Texans in that regard. And last year, those 4 teams had a combined 18 wins. Some teams want that national exposure, but new Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans doesn't mind the supposed slight.
With that schedule, right, not having any primetime games and all the, that's the one thing that we kind of look forward to. And the one thing that I've learned as I've just looked at is, for us as a team, we have to go out and earn our right to be in those primetime moments. So it's a good opportunity for our team to just go out, just put our head down and work, and just to prove where we belong. So excited about it.
The Texans open their season in Baltimore against Lamar Jackson and the new look Ravens on September 10th. Not a primetime game, but a significant test right out of the gates.
All right, we'll see what happens.
You got it.
Thank you. We'll be right back after the break. All right, we're 2 days away. Special day, Mother's Day. A lot of mothers across the country are being showered with flowers, cards, and other gifts as Mother's Day approaches. But this Sunday, obviously, May 14th is Mother's Day, and KSAT wants to help you celebrate her. So here's what you do. Just submit a photo or a video of your mom or the mother figure in your life to KSAT Connect, and she could be featured on TV. Now, if you're new to KSAT Connect, head to KSAT.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom of this article, and there you'll find the step-by-step guide to posting to KSAT Connect. And good luck, and yeah, we want to see your mama. All right, now let's take a live look outside. That is I-35. Those are the northbound lanes there at Loop 410, and you can see it is slow going. Yeah, traffic is going, but it's really down to a crawl. The other side, southbound lanes are obviously smooth, but yeah, it's tough. 5:30, people are heading home. Adam?
Yeah, luckily no rain to deal with, though, on the roadways. That's a bonus. But you look off to the west, and that's where the storms are coming together, moving into Del Rio and parts of western Valverde County. These storms will continue to organize and then move eastward, making it here around midnight, give or take, and then off and on rain through the weekend and even early next week.
Thanks for watching us. World News is next. We'll see you at 6.